Today we're going to be making tteokbokki, and these are the ingredients. We have green onions, enoki mushrooms, rice cakes, and fish cakes, and water, of course. And the first thing we're going to do is boil the water and add the rice cakes in. They take a bit to get soft, so we boil that first. So I struggle to put all of them in here. Alright, and then we wait until it boils. Alright, now that the rice cakes are boiling a bit, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients in. But this is really easy to make because all you have to do is dump your ingredients in there. I'm going to start with the fish cakes. And then I'm going to add the sauce. And then we're going to put in the enoki mushrooms, which traditionally it doesn't go in there, but I love these mushrooms. So I'm going to add it. And oh no! And I'm going to add the green onions. And then we boil it for about 10 to 15 minutes. I like my rice cakes super well done and really soft, so I do it for about 15 minutes. But right now the sauce is a little bit watery, but it should thicken up by the 10-minute mark-ish. And if I need to, I will add more water, but otherwise it should be good boiling here. Now this is the final product. I actually added some ramen noodles in there because I just wanted to make it a meal. Usually it's eaten more as a snack than a meal. And I finished it off with some fresh green onions and sesame seed. And it's ready to eat. Alright, for my cultural video project, I chose Korea because I'm from Korea. And the location and relevant history for Korea is that it's a very small land. It's a peninsula, so actually the climate fluctuates between cold snowy winters and very hot monsoonal summers, so it limits agriculture drastically. So I think that's why they figured out ways to make food by fermenting it and burying it underground, like kimchi, which is their traditional food. And the religion in Korea is mostly Buddhism and Confucianism. The majority of the religions are those, and 28.4% of South Koreans are Christians. And in Korea, family is very highly valued, and loyalty is very strongly stressed. So extended family is more important than the individual's want or needs, is probably because they're interdependent rather than independent. And the supreme value in the faith-saving culture lay in the preservation of the honor in the family. So if you can't bring honor to the family, then there's a lot of shame that comes with that in your identity. And the male is always the head of the family, and if the dad is not able to fulfill that role, then the oldest son will fill that role, even if he's a kid. And traditional health practices would be so a good appetite is a significant indicator of health, and any excessive emotions is considered unhealthy, because if you're overly happy or overly sad or depressed or anxious, it's believed to be a result of a physical condition, which is not always true. And their traditional food habits would be they eat vegetables in every meal most of the time. It's known for being very healthy and very balanced because there's vegetables, always protein, and some grains. And they are instantly recognizable for their flavors because we use sweet, sour, bitter, hot, and salty all in one meal. It's it's always combined in one meal. And they are known for eating a lot of spicy vegetable and meat combinations, and rice is the foundation of a Korean diet, like most other Asian cultures. And the seasonings for the South Korean cuisine would be garlic, ginger, black pepper, chili pepper, scallions, toasted sesame seed, or oil in mostly all their dishes. And the meal composition would be there'd be 3 meals a day, and usually people, well, when they start eating, the eldest will eat first, and nobody will touch their spoons until the oldest person starts eating, and then everybody else can join in. And then it's very rude to chew with your mouth open, which is common here too. And by the time everything is done and finished and all cleaned up, usually the moms or the wives will cut fruit and bring it out, while the dads or the uncles and stuff are just talking. So we usually finish the meal with fruits or tea. And there's a lot of different foods for different occasions. Like for the New Year's, we'll eat rice cake soup, which is just this, I don't know how to explain it. It's not a spicy soup. It's a regular soup with like eggs, green onions, and they have rice cakes in there and usually beef. And we eat every time you eat that, it means that you got 1 year older because they count years by the year, not their birthdays. And let me think. They have different foods for different holidays. But they don't usually celebrate Thanksgiving, not in the way that we do. Yeah, so it's not really much of a Korean holiday. For therapeutic uses of food, they'll the most common thing I can think of is hanyak, which is a traditional medicinal, not soup, but it's like this really black liquid, and people drink it because it's made of like really healthy ingredients, and people drink it if they feel like they're under the weather or they just want to be healthy. So they have a lot of traditional approaches to natural cures in Korea. And tea is used a lot for digestion because they believe that it breaks down the food well. And contemporary food habits in the US for Korean food is there's a lot of fusion where we have like bulgogi in tacos or hot dogs. And Korean barbecue is very, very popular in the States, where they just get raw meat or marinated meat and they cook it in front of you, and you get to eat it with lettuce and different side dishes and rice. Um, and and as I said before, Korean food is very popular for being healthy and very well balanced. Most people in Korea are not overweight, only because, I mean, some people are, but it's not very common because the food that we have there are not very greasy. It's very light, and again, there's a lot of vegetables in each dish, so it's different for each person, but usually it's very healthy. And the influence of the group on the US diet is the most effective well-being value recognition item for globalizing Korean food was that the Korean food is nutritious and good for the health, according to an article. And Korean food is very palatable, and flavors aren't so overwhelming like the spices, or so unfamiliar that it's hard for people to try. Because some foods in other cultures have different spices or seasonings that are super unfamiliar to Americans. And even honestly, for me, I have a hard time trying. But for Korean food, everything is very common, like garlic and ginger, which is very common here too. And yeah.